But the other components of tarot are the numbers on the cards and the astrological placements. Numbers is an interesting facet because like you can get several numbers in a card. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can get like let's say you get strength and then you also get like the 8 of swords or something like that.
Both
You
eights.
both eights. Pay attention to the
Oh wait,
numerology
or
that's
strength
influencing.
16. Sorry, I'm
Strength
thinking
is
strength is six. It's strength is 8. Okay.
it's 8. That's why I
Um.
said that one.
Okay. Fuck yeah. And I knew that off the top of my head too. I was like, the actually some of the numbers, kid, like they actually relate to some of the numerology that we use for tarot relates to the Sephiroth, the tree of life
Mm-hmm.
from Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like yeah, I love that. But yeah, the numbers, yeah, the new I learned from Biddy lecture that Bridget, I forget her last name, from Biddy Tarot did about like numerology and the tarot, and like that's why I was like 5 is the number of like conflict and tension.
Yeah, I did get a class like that with Saray as well. Numbers, unless they are super repetitive, I have a hard time with them. But sometimes it's worth paying attention to the addition, which is like kind of how you do numerology. But like also with tarot and numerology being like two in there, and astrology, right? You gotta, it's like 3 of them. Numerology and astrology are ways of knowing too.
Mm.
And tarot is like another archetypal way of knowing. So you're kind of blending these things together. But I would say that it does help if you have a basic understanding of numerology and or astrology if you want to get into those components of tarot.
Yeah.
Like there is a basic way to read it without going too heavy on the numbers or too heavy on the astrology like placement of the card.
I said numerology when I just meant like the symbolic, like what the symbology of the numbers are. I forget that numerology is like an actual like thing, like where you like add numbers, you take it whatever, like you do this, you subtract blah blah blah, like that's. I am not doing that. I am just like
Yeah.
3 is the number of creativity and magic.
Yeah.
8 is mastery and perfection.
Or
Like,
just like let's say you do a reading and you get a 3 and you pull a 3 and then maybe the next day you pull a 3. But then you're somewhere and you pulled up behind a car and the license plate says 333 zip something, right?
mm,
That's when you start paying attention to why the numbers matter, because there is a symbology to that number that's trying to feed you a story. Again, like
that's
I
synchronicity.
but that's how numbers work, is in synchronicity. Because without synchronicity, numbers are random and there's no
Yeah.
way to actually organize it in real life, I would say. Um, the last component, like I've said along with the numerology, was the astrological placements. And this again is like the hardest part because what you're doing is mixing archetypes. So like the archetypes as they stand in tarot and then the archetypes as they stand in astrology and then trying to match them. That can be helpful if you're diving deep into the meaning. It's like if you were counting the numbers on the cards. Like you had an 8 of swords, a 3 of pentacles, whatever, and that's 11, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, right? Like that's a really complicated way of looking at things. And sometimes, like I say, sometimes these things will matter and sometimes they won't, and it just depends on what you're reading and what you're trying to do and who you're reading for. So those are just all the components that could possibly pop up when you're reading. But it doesn't mean that every reading is going to be like textbook, you know? So the next thing we were going to talk about was how we came to tarot and our stories with the tarot.
The tarot. Like I mentioned, I found tarot. Well, okay, so I was like tarot adjacent for like my whole life. Like my mom, my mom always had a tarot deck. I never remember her pulling it out or using it like ever. Like I remember books. Like it was something that we like always like tried to do. Like we were like I want to, but we never actually like no one ever really did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gave me a tarot deck for my 25th birthday, and literally 2 days later, I quit drinking. And then about 12 days after I quit drinking, San Francisco County shut down for the Rona. It was quarantine. And I was about a week into quarantine. And I was staring. I was so bored out of my fucking mind.
In a weekend.
A weekend. Well, because like also all that time, I had all that time, but I also was used to drinking with all my time off, right? So like, I'm like 3 weeks sober, a week into quarantine, laying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, like I have no idea what to do. Like, I'm so fucking bored. I have my normal thing that I'd be doing right now, I can't do. Like, and I was just like, and I remember it was like I remember sitting up straight and being like, didn't your mother just get you a beautiful new tarot deck? Like, could you maybe learn how to read tarot? Like, and I fucking started, there was a sheet that went with it that was like the Celtic cross. I was like, this is nuts. Who fucking does this shit? That spread is crazy. I've done it once. I don't know if you've ever done the Celtic cross.
I've never.
But don't. It's entirely too much. It's too much information.
And I think it's funny when people lead with it too. I'm like, where the fuck are you going?
This is some highbrow, next level, like,
it's
no.
Like, it's the kind of tarot reading where it's like a person will get a tarot reading once in their life and they get that tarot reading and it's it. Like, that's it.
And they're like, I don't, and I have all the information for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
This is my last draw with my tarot, because I always keep the cards out. But I've actually haven't used this deck in years because, as you can see, it was beat to shit. But I started doing tarot reading.
Good tarot deck.
It's beautiful.
It's beat to shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Cool.
Very beautiful. Yeah. And then I was trying to find my journals when I started pulling every single day, and I want to say it was probably like June, July. It was it was during quarantine for sure. Mm-hmm. Like I started, because they were like, I was trying to get to know them, and I have, it has a book, like there's a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Page of Swords, Element, Air, like, like there's like things like this that exist. But the way that everybody was like, the way you fucking learn how to read tarot is you fucking pull cards every day. Like, just pull a card every morning. And so that's how my daily draw started, was I literally was just trying to get to know my tarot deck and then have pulled cards every day for nearly 5 fucking years.
Gucci. Good. How does it make you feel, being 5 years into it? And like, what differences has it made for you?
Well, like I said, it was like a way for me to get information about myself and my recovery journey. Like, it was like a way to ease me into a lot of the things. In the first like 6 months that I was learning how to draw tarot, I drew the devil card all the fucking time, which is, I think you guys have probably heard me talk about this. The devil card's actually one of my favorite cards, because it's the addiction card, and like I had to get real comfortable with it, and like, because like you think like, because it's the devil, it's like evil and blah blah blah, but it's scary. It's scary. But because I learned in recovery, my tarot is almost exclusively for self-care, which is a difference that you and I have in our readings. You read for a lot of other things. You read for political things, which is so cool. Like, you read for a lot of other stuff, but I don't tend to. I don't know, I just had to, I don't know, I love that card because I had to get comfortable with it very early on in my tarot journey, because it was early in my sobriety journey and I was just coming out of an addiction. And like, it's about like freeing yourself from fucked up things, the way I see it. Like, I don't know. I've like learned a lot about myself, like, and I'm more willing and open, I think, because of tarot to see where I'm wrong, or like what, because I always ask what do I need to focus on today? What do I need to know?
Well, I love when you introduced me to the daily draw of like, what do I need to know for today or whatever. I love that.
What do I need to keep in mind today? Yeah.
Because I think I'm not a person who likes to read tarot every day, but I like the idea that one card could help you at any moment in that day. And I think like that's kind of where that deep knowing helps. And like the ritualized practice of something else besides the addiction also helps. Like, because you're keeping your hands busy, you're keeping your mind busy. Maybe you have a cup of tea by you, you have a snack, whatever. You have the pen and the pencil. A cigarette and there's like a practice around how that keeps you spiritually aligned and in hygienic routine too, because it acknowledges a part of you that I think a lot of people on a day-to-day don't acknowledge of themselves, which is that spiritual part, like that part that does know what's best for you and that does want the best for you, the idealistic part.
I mean, like, it does, and it's funny, like, it's fun when they I don't necessarily think about it all day every day, but it is fun when I like open up my journal again and I'm like, oh, that card came up today, like, I see that shit, like,
I see that shit.
Today it was weird. I did the gold foil deck today, and it was like, I think I got like the king of it was like peril and danger and inertia, and I was like, what is happening to me today? Like, am I okay? And this was my draw this morning.
And you drew them all upside down?
All reversed.
Okay, interesting.
But Two of Swords. It was like all like inertia. Inertia. This one was inertia. This is one of the meanings. And then this one, peril. And I was like, okay, King of Pentacles, and then falsehood. I was
Maybe you have some trickster energy around you then. Tricky.
These motherfuckers be tricky.
Tricky.
I was. I really like the. This is what was hidden. That's what you look at the bottom of the deck, right? That's what that is.
If you're feeling, this is a good trick. If you're feeling like you need additional information, but you're like, what is the thing I'm missing? When you have your deck facing down, turn it around, and the bottom card is what is hidden, and that's a good question to ask. Like when you have a spread in front of you, like what's hidden, and that last card might give you the last piece that you were supposed to know. Yeah.
Maybe the danger and peril, like maybe all that was because I got asked to stay and do extra work.
Perilous.
Well, because I've been trying to detach myself a little bit from work, like just because it's starting to get to me.
Which is the peril,
starting to get
peril of burnout, dude.
Get the burnout. For reals. I do love what I do. Like I was, I had a couple moments like that where I was like watching people make food, and I was like, this is actually, I do love this. We are providing really special memories and moments. And food is also great.
Food is great. Food is life.
Food is literally life.
So this is going to be funny because I don't remember, you weren't there yet in Massachusetts when I got my first tarot reading ever, but I was in Salem, Massachusetts. And it was right after that ex broke up with me. I almost said that B, but I was like, ooh. Anyways.
She who will not be named.
So I was just broken up with, and I was feeling like highly emotional. A lot of shit was going on. Well, my girls came up to visit me. It was Soph and Caitlin, and we went to Salem for the day because I knew it would be like a fun girls trip kind of thing. So we got on the train to Salem, and I had like some money in my pocket for the trip, whatever. And I was really like waffling back and forth. I was like, should I do this? Like, it's a lot of money to pay a tarot reader to do this. And I don't even know, like, all this stuff. And yes, I was a witch. That's why Salem meant so much, like, to me, and to be around all that stuff. Like, I really felt comfortable there, but I didn't know anything about tarot at all. And actually, like, divination wasn't something I was like close to, but it was that trip to Salem where I bought the psychic candle. And basically, like, what I had done magically around the psychic candle was I had ritualized asking the candle for my psychic gifts, and like just for them to pop up and become a thing. I wouldn't know until I burnt that candle out that they would come. Okay, so but that's like the same, like I got it from this like witch shop in Salem that same trip. So I go into this like shop in Salem, and they have like a few psychics offering tarot readings, and I sign myself up for a slot. I sit down with the lady, and I don't remember what her name was, but I told her, like, I'm sitting there so eager, and she's like, so what do you have today? Like, do you have anything? And I was like, no. Like, I gave her nothing. Like, I gave her absolutely fucking nothing. Just sat there so eager, staring at her, right? Like I do when I'm clueless. And she starts like pulling cards. Well, she gives me a reading that is so deeply powerful and moving that I come out of there and I start crying somewhere in the court of Salem, like, just sobbing. And I was like, oh my God, she like knew everything about me, all this stuff. And I was like, it sounds like shit's gonna be bad. Like, because, you know, I just got through the breakup and
Yeah.
more shit was gonna go down, and it was especially gonna be financial. Like, it was in like boil.
Woo, doggies.
Real bad. And the thing is like, reflecting back like all these years later too, it's like, what, 7 years later at this point, like
Nearly 8. Yeah. 7, almost 8.
Yeah, so like looking back at it, it's like that was a horrible, horrible time. But the other thing about it was it lasted a long time.
So much about myself.
Yeah, but also I learned so much about the world that made shit horrible. And like, I feel like I've grown up so much. So how I came to tarot, to reading it myself, was I think it clicked for me somewhere in my brain that I could use tarot as a tool for knowing things. Because I think that didn't click for me. Like, I didn't understand like how just like a deck of cards told the story. I was really attracted to cards like Temperance and cards like Justice and like the more angelic looking cards.
Those two
and Judgment as well. Judgment's another one that I was really drawn to.
The fact that you name Temperance, wow. I don't know why. That just makes me, I'm like, yeah, that would be why. Yeah, I see why you're attracted to those cards.
Well, because like your devil card is Temperance for me.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Like, although addiction is one of my issues, I feel like Temperance is the lesson I've needed to learn the most.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
So basically, it's like hard to piece together, but basically, like, I had gone into psychosis twice, and then I picked up a tarot deck. But before I went into the second psychosis, I had this part, it was like in quarantine, like around the same time everybody was quarantining, because I remember being home alone and doing nothing. And I started to perceive spirits. Like, I started to perceive shit that was like around me, but I got really scared. Like, really fucking scared, and didn't know what to do. So I go into psychosis the second time, and my friend who's now not my friend anymore, which is so funny, but had like loaned me like a tarot deck because they thought that it would help me. Like, they were like, you might need this based on who you are, you just haven't realized it yet. So one day I'm picking up the cards like out of psychosis, like, and mind you that the psychosis lasts a couple weeks, but like the after effects last months for me. I don't know how else to explain that. But I'll go in and out of like frenzies, and I'll go in and out of blackouts even months later. So like, it wasn't ever clear to me like that things could be stable, but it's like when I picked up the cards, things started to become stable. It was like I was stabilizing.
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 It's like how I say aquarii from the plural of Aquarius. Like,
there's a beautiful bird.
Aww.
My cats would be after her ass. If I wasn't sitting here. She's a chunky. She's cute. She's just bouncing up on the branches right here.
Your face. You look so utterly delighted.
I love watching the birds. Yeah, just like more stable. That's what I mean. More stable. So I started realizing that if I got into a practice of it, I could start honing in on contacting spirits. That was the real purpose. Because I noticed something was like super wrong with like how I was perceiving reality, but what really it was that I was coming into mediumship, but I needed a tool to use. And I figured I had shufflemancy, which I talk about a lot, but
channeling of the energy.
Tarot gives you a set of archetypes, a set of stories, kaput, that's it, close book kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't hard to understand how I could use tools to master spirit communication, do it better, do it more authentically, do it more ethically. Reading for other people is something I like to do, and I like to get money for it because I'm pretty good at it. But I wouldn't say that's like why I was put out here on this earth. Like, it's not something like I do because I think, like, for me, it does become a lot of the time like a sleepover trick where I do it to just like impress my friends and have fun. And The political stuff came when I joined the Tarot for Liberation class by Saray. He was teaching it at a time of, so he started the class October 1st, 2023, which was right before the Hamas attack in Israel, which launched the genocide in Gaza. So it was like a very pertinent time to start reading politically, because I needed a tool for decolonization. If I didn't have tarot to tell me how to liberate or how to get out of the confines of oppression too, I felt like that was the last component I needed to learn to do what I can do with spirits too. I think it was just another journey I had to take with it. And so when I don't read politically a lot, I will say I do know how, and I think I would feel more comfortable reading tarot politically if I had a group of people who wanted to scheme, essentially, because I don't think there's a lot I can do besides live my own life with liberation in mind when I read politically. But, like, let's say there's a coalition of tarot readers or fortune tellers or divinators, whatever, who get together to divinate and do things for liberation. I think that would make more of a difference. Which is, yeah, so that's just kind of like why I haven't gotten heavy-handedly into that, because I've been looking for more of a community to be like, okay, if this is what the divine or the future is kind of telling us, then we need to, you know, maybe do these things, whatever. But yeah, like, I feel like tarot has been liberatory for me. I feel like it has been a freedom from a lot of the oppression I faced, and has empowered me to be a better person and to, like, want to be a version of myself every day that I can be proud of and that I can love and be at peace with. So
that's beautiful. I'm glad you answered your question that I did not, like, I was going to. I needed to sit with it for a second.
I also didn't know how meaningful it was all going to come out to be either. I didn't know I was going to say any of that.
Yeah. I didn't realize you started reading for political, like, so recently. Because I was only, like, I mean, a year and a half does, it, like, that technically is a minute ago, but, like, that's still, like, I feel like that is not that long in the grand scheme of things.
And I think he ended the course in February of this year.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the last courses was, like, how to read for trans people, which I thought was, like, an excellent end to the course. I was like, great, yeah, like, trans people, like, very much need our guidance. I need the guidance. I know a lot of other trans people would need that kind of guidance. The last note about tarot that I do have, though, is about memorization versus personalization before we get into the card pulls. And the only thing I'll really say about that is that it's up to you to decide how you want to learn it. You can do it very, like memorize all you want and personalize all you want. It's just up to you how you do it.
Yeah. I will tell you guys, like, my favorite, this is my go-to deck for my reflections, the Line Strider. I'm gonna actually pull it out. It was very beautiful. I still read this every day. Like, I do, like, I read all the meanings still. That's what the falsehood, I would have said something very differently. I love this one. The Knight of Cups.
Ooh, kitty.
Kitty eating a bird. Eating a bird. It's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful deck. But it's my go-to for reflection, and like, I still read the books. I still fucking read the books. Another good example of why I read the books is my fucking because the artists have their own interpretations and things that they're gonna say about it, and their own, like, I do, like, a preliminary, okay, these are the things that I'm thinking because of this, blah blah blah. This is one of my current favorite decks, is the herbal tarot, and it comes with, like, beautiful. An herb, like, cool. It gives, I, like, literally, this is the chair where I do my tarot draw every morning, so this is, like, I have all of it literally super handy. That's why I'm showing off all my decks.
Well, and like you said earlier too, like, You said that I use this deck for reflection.
Yeah.
My Pulp Tarot deck really loves love readings for whatever reason. Like, some of my decks do certain things very specifically, and some decks are like general, go for it, whatever.
I think you taught me that.
Yeah.
I think that you, like, if I was gonna do political, I'd go Modern Witch, which I got off of Temu, so it's a little bit janky. I would get it not jankified, but it's cute. The Modern Witch deck, like this would be this was the deck Katie and I pulled when we hung out on Inauguration Day and did our Polar Plunge and our Primal fucking Scream.
That's incredible. That is what you do on Inauguration Day. It's Primal Scream into the water.
Yeah. One of her roommates was so funny. I think it was Rebecca. It was like, how much of a Primal Scream can it be with all the microplastics in my body?
That's so sad but funny. So I was thinking we should do a poll called the Archetypes for the Moment, and this comes from Saray's class. Mm-hmm. The archetypes we're growing toward and the archetype we're growing away from. So it's just a 2-card poll, toward and from.
Okay.
And what me and Katie are going to do is we're going to do a reading for ourselves at the same time. And we'll just tell you what our reading is, one after the other. And then after that, I'll do a collective reading for listeners of the podcast, generally speaking. Yeah. And I'll do the same thing. So, you want to get to shuffling?
Shit. I'm like, which deck do I use?
You got them in reverse?
Working towards, working away from, or coming away from. I want to be working towards the High Priestess, goddammit. No, Knight of Swords, working towards, Knight of Swords in reverse, working towards. So probably being a little bit more, a little less harsh, a little less quick to judgment. Working away from keeping everything inside. You know what, guys? I'm gonna pull out the book. The herbs that they're associated with are wild cherry bark for the Knight of Swords and peony for the High Priestess. Suit of Swords. Okay, Knight of Swords, wild cherry bark, reverse meanings. Ambitious person who is secretly manipulative for personal gains at the expense of others. I don't think that's what I'm working.
Another suggestion I have, this is a really great case for why to not read in reversals. In this case, like, I wouldn't read those in reverse. Because you only pulled 2 cards. Yeah, you only pulled 2 cards, and sometimes reversals can confuse the meaning so much that it gets lost to the question.
Right? Because, like, okay, then I'm going to flip them back. I'm going to flip them.
See what happens then.
It's going to make a lot more sense, I feel like. Actually, and if we're going to flip them, then I'm going to go to the big book, the Spirit of the big guidebook, which is very good. I'm not going to read the whole, there's a lot of pages that go with these, but I will. But they have really cool things. Knight of Swords, wild cherry bark. Spiritual properties, wild cherry bark will enable us to relax, blah, blah, blah. Keywords, willing to seek ideals and speak your mind, watching for being too harsh with words. That was what my original thought was. I need to consider the needs of others, moving on to new thoughts and ideas. Affirmation, with strength and clarity, I move forward in the pursuit of my dreams and visions. Herbal allies, Grindelia, Whorehound.
Like, that card actually makes a lot of sense with the High Priestess moving away, I think. Because being like, if it's asking you to have strength and clarity, and the High Priestess is all about hidden knowledge.
Yeah, exploring the subconscious. It's like about I've been working very internally for the last several years, and I need to move it to the external now. Is kind of the way I'm looking at it. Looking for the why behind manifestations, mystery, inner knowing, wisdom. The yin principles of the self, feminine beauty and grace, shyness and holding back, need to let go of tension and nervousness, paying attention to the cycles of life, moodiness. Like, now that I get my rhythms and my life cycles, I need to be able to more clearly communicate that to others and translate that into helping other people. Affirmation, I open my heart to the answers that lie with me. I see the perfection and unity of all things. Herbal allies, rose and hibiscus, 2 herbs that I have.
Yeah. I mean, that's a cool thing to show how you've grown. When I did this a few months ago, I pulled both 9s. I had 2 9 cards come up, which was wild. I was like, so what's the significance of the 9 then?
Well, 9's near completion of a cycle. What was the first? What was working towards and working away from?
Okay, so I was growing away from the nine of cups, and I was growing towards the 9 of pentacles. And then the presence of 9, wisdom, wishes, learning through the struggle results in enlightenment.
So learning to like materialize instead of just be stuck on emotion.
Which I feel like is still relevant if I'm being honest, but
yeah,
we'll see what it says today. Let's see. So we're going towards the Father of Air, which is the King of Swords.
Okay.
And we're going away from the Six of Earth, which is the 6 of Pentacles.
Okay.
So, like, the Father of Air, to move towards a more thoughtful place, but also, like, considering a lot. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot to think about. But there's a place of contentment to be with it and letting things go at the end of the day, to be as free as they want to be, like the air, and away from the 6 of Pentacles or the 6 of Earth, which actually means success. And I think to move away from success, I think, is moving away from the scarcity mindset of success.
Yeah. Not
necessarily like that success isn't imminent, but that the way I think about it is not how I should be thinking about it, which feels, again, very relevant for the moment.
Yeah, success doesn't have to be zero sum.
Exactly.
We can, like, just like power, it doesn't have to be zero sum.
And I think the Father of Air is like a very empowering card for me. Being in the suit of, or being the astrological sign of Aquarius, being in the suit of air is where I actually feel really comfortable as an air sign. And in Aquarius, and I just I feel like when you're sitting in the energy and the archetype of the Father of Air, there's a regality, there's the achievement in the experience without making success like a thing to obsess over. It's like you're just sitting there, like, in that. You know? Yeah. Okay, collective, we have your reading. Now that me and Katie have gone through the ringer collectively, we are wanting to know what archetype of the moment we are growing away from and what one we're going towards. So let's see, where we're going towards is here, and where we're going away is here. Okay. So for the collective, interesting. The collective is moving towards the moon and away from temperance, which is an interesting place to be. I think you're entering the realm of dreams is what I'm getting here.
Oh, I love this.
And you are empowered by the darkness, by the night, because what's coming from temperance that you're having to move away from is the magical quality of things as a magical quality. It's like the natural perception of what's hidden in the dark, or what's in the dark, or what's under the moonlight is already magical. We don't need to divine anything in particular. We don't need to push anything in particular to stream in a certain way to get a certain alchemical thing. The moon and the astrological way that things move about and around you are going to reveal in its light what you need to know, rather than going too deep into a water of indecision.
I also feel like politically, like, we just need to temperance. Like, I think of like moderation too, like moderate, and like,
yeah,
I like went through a political very like of like being like, oh good, we're gonna get out of temperance, we're gonna be bad a little bit, we're gonna start. I think like
that's a really good way to read it too, is like, I think there is you're right about the moderation, but there's also like a gentleness. Like, there needs to be more harsh, there needs to be the unturning, there needs to be the what is allowed to be in the dark needs to just be allowed.
Yeah, like we're like stepping into like like the dreams and ideals of what we want, but we have to, yeah, we have to
So I'll
move
show
out
you
of.
these two cards, audience members.
Wait, are you? Hold on a sec, cat. Things are happening. Did you fucking bitch?
That is your reading, your collective reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I did.
I had a fucking blast.
So,
This is great.
thank you for listening to this episode of Files from the Other Side. You can find us on Instagram at Files from the Other Side.
And we'll see you on the other side.